The city lights blurred into streaks of gold and red as Daniel Harrow's car sped through the late evening traffic, but nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for what he was about to see. One moment, he was a man returning home after sealing the biggest business deal of his career, a man celebrated in every newspaper as a visionary millionaire, a man believed to possess everything. And in the next moment, he was frozen on a street corner, staring into the shadows of a narrow alley where his entire world lay crumpled on the cold pavement like a discarded memory. His wife, Elena, his gentle, bright-hearted Elena, was abandoned, bruised, shaking, and barely conscious. It was the kind of sight that rips a man's soul in half, backhand index pointing right. If you believe in kindness, humanity, and second chances, make sure to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more powerful real-life stories. Daniel dropped to his knees beside her, the icy ground biting through his expensive suit, but he didn't care. The world could have collapsed around him, and he wouldn't have noticed. He lifted her slowly, his hands trembling as he tried to support her fragile body. She smelled like rain, dust, and fear, so different from the lavender-scented warmth of the home they once shared. Elena's eyes fluttered open for a second, just long enough for him to see the pain hiding behind them, before she slipped back into unconsciousness. And in that moment, the millionaire who commanded boardrooms felt utterly powerless. As he carried her to his car, a fire ignited inside him, not anger, not rage, but a promise. Whatever had happened to her, whoever had failed her, and whatever he had overlooked, he would not fail her again. The hospital lights were harsh, cold, merciless. Doctors and nurses rushed Elena away while Daniel stood alone in the hallway, his chest rising and falling with breaths that felt like broken glass. Hours passed like slow-moving storms. He paced, replaying the last few months in his mind, the arguments, the emotional distance, the constant pressure of running an empire. He had believed she was fine, that she was strong, that she understood his work. He had convinced himself that love alone was enough to hold a marriage together. But under the fluorescent lights of the hospital hallway, he realized how wrong he had been. Love needed presence. Love needed listening. Love needed time. When the doctor finally stepped out, his expression was heavy. Elena was physically stable, but the trauma was deep. She had been struggling with overwhelming anxiety, loneliness, and untreated depression for months, feelings she had hidden behind soft smiles because she didn't want to be a burden. The pressure of being married to a public figure had crushed her quietly until one night she simply walked out, wandering without direction until she collapsed in that alley. Daniel felt his stomach twist. How could he have been so blind? How could a man who saw every detail in $1 million contract miss the suffering of the one person who mattered most? He sat beside her hospital bed, watching her breathe, brushing her hair back from her forehead. Every beep of the monitor felt like a reminder of the life he almost lost, not to an accident or illness, but to neglect. As she slept, he made a decision that would change not only their lives but the entire city. He would not let her fade into silence again. He would not let anyone else feel this kind of invisible suffering. When Elena woke up the next morning, she found him sitting there, eyes swollen from a night without sleep. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The apology lived in his expression, in the way he held her hand as if it were something sacred. She didn't speak either. But her tears said everything: the fear, the hurt, the exhaustion, and the tiny spark of hope that maybe, just maybe, this was not the end. Over the next weeks, Daniel postponed every business meeting, stepped away from public appearances, and became her full-time support. He brought her to therapy sessions, helped her rebuild her strength, cooked for her, stayed beside her during panic attacks, and learned how to understand her emotions instead of brushing them aside. The city's tabloids were relentless. Headlines screamed that the millionaire had gone missing from the spotlight. Rumors spread. Questions swirled. Yet Daniel didn't care. For once, he wasn't running the world, he was saving his own. He realized how many people around them were silently suffering just like Elena. People who looked fine on the outside but were carrying storms inside. People who had no one to help them stand again. And that realization planted a seed. When Elena finally found the strength to talk about what she had been feeling, Daniel asked her gently if she wanted to help others who had walked the same dark path. Her answer was a trembling yes. Together, they founded a citywide mental health foundation, one that provided free therapy, emergency shelters, crisis support teams, and emotional education for families. News stations later reported that within months, thousands of lives had been impacted. People who once felt invisible now had a place to turn. Struggling spouses, overwhelmed parents, lonely teenagers, and lost souls began stepping into the light. And the city, once indifferent, slowly transformed into a community where compassion mattered. But the moment that truly shocked the city was the day Daniel publicly shared what had happened, not to expose Elena, but to expose the reality of hidden suffering. A millionaire admitting he had failed at home was unheard of. A man known for strength showing vulnerability was even rarer. And yet, his honesty broke open a conversation that had been buried for too long. For the first time, people realized that pain does not choose the poor or the wealthy. It touches everyone. Months later, on a quiet Sunday morning, Daniel and Elena walked through that same alley where he had found her. The shadows were still there, the coldness unchanged, but something inside them had transformed. Elena leaned into him, not weak, but stronger than ever, because she had survived the darkness, and because he had chosen to walk through it with her. Backhand index pointing right. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, comment your feelings, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more emotional real-life stories. Speech balloon special request. Before you go, comment below what part of the story moved you the most. And as they walked away from that alley, the city didn't just see a millionaire and his wife. It saw a reminder that love is not proven in perfect moments, it is proven in the moment.